Hi, my name's Marianne and I just love animals. I live on a ranch in Texas and we don't just have cows here. We've got horses and pigs and sheep and all kinds of other little animals too, like dogs and cats and even some rabbits. I'm especially fond of this one rabbit we've got. His name's Snowy and he's got the softest, whitest fur I ever did see. My parents work super hard running our ranch and they don't like me and my brother getting too involved. We're allowed to help with the feeding and I'm allowed to go horse riding whenever I want, but when it comes to the business stuff, they don't tell me anything. So I tend to keep myself to myself and I don't want to make the other animals jealous, so I'm pretty careful when I sneak Snowy some extra carrots or hugs. One weekend, my parents had some clients visiting from over in Louisiana. They must have been a pretty big deal because my parents had been running around like crazy, cleaning the ranch and dusting the house, and Mom even got her best china plates out. I knew they were interested in buying some of Dad's most prized bulls, so he obviously wanted to make a good impression. I spent the whole of Saturday helping Mom fix supper. I did the salad and the dessert because I don't really like touching the meat, to be honest. So while Mom prepared the chicken, she sent me off to do my homework and asked me to put on something nice. I could hear Dad laughing and chatting away to the clients on the porch, so it all seemed to be going well. I thought about popping out to give Snowy some carrots that I'd put aside while fixing the salad, but I couldn't see him from my window. He must have been hiding under the porch. At that moment, my mom called my name, so I figured I'd just go see Snowy after dinner. I made my way down the stairs and into the dining room and shook hands with the clients. They were both rather large men, and they were both dressed similar to my dad, kind of like cowboys. I guess that's the standard uniform around cattle ranches. We sat down, and everyone commented on how delicious my salad was, although Dad made a joke about me being stingy on the carrots. I silently chuckled to myself as I thought about how happy Snowy would be getting a late-night treat from me later. Next up was the chicken, which was so delicious. Mom had skinned it and roasted it with potatoes and smothered it in her homemade gravy. Everyone seemed to love it, and one of the clients asked my mom to send over the recipe at some point. It was that good. As we finished up dessert, Dad and the clients pulled out some contracts and sat down to finish negotiating. I excused myself and ran up to my room to grab the carrots and headed outside to feed Snowy. I headed straight for the side of the barn that he usually sleeps in, but he wasn't there. That's strange, I thought. Maybe he was still hiding under the porch. I looked there, but I couldn't see him. I ran to the other rabbit hutches in case he had been feeling lonely and snuck in beside one of the other rabbits. He wasn't there either. That's when I started to panic. What if he'd run away? Or worse, what if he'd got run over on the highway? With tears in my eyes, I ran to find my dad. By this point, the clients had left. My dad was feeding the horses in the stable. I ran straight up to him and asked, "Where's Snowy?" Dad looked at me in confusion and asked who Snowy was. I told him that Snowy was the big, white, fluffy rabbit, the one that I was always playing with. He scratched his head and laughed. Then he said, "Oh, you mean the rabbit we had for dinner tonight? He sure was a tasty one, wasn't he?" Suddenly, it was like someone had punched me in the chest. I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing. I sat down on a pile of hay and started crying my eyes out. I felt sick. I looked up at my dad and started shouting at him. I said, "That's not funny. This isn't a time for jokes. Snowy is missing, and anyway, I know that was chicken we ate." Dad just looked at me and told me to stop raising my voice. He said it was rabbit we ate, and that he'd warned me not to get too attached to any of the animals here. I could barely hear him as he kept lecturing me about how this is the reality of life on a ranch, and I should know better. I thought about Snowy and his twinkling eyes, and the fact that we had just eaten my most favorite pet I'd ever had. I threw up. I didn't even have time to think about it. I just couldn't stop myself from vomiting. I couldn't bear the thought of Snowy being inside of me. I wanted to shout at my mom and ask her, how could she? But then I had another thought. From that moment on, I decided I would never eat another animal again. What did you think of this story? Please feel free to share your comments and stories in the comment section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.